still read the Old Testament? Can I tell you something? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Whatever you're going through, you're tempted, aren't you? You're tempted to be afraid. I have been too. But the Lord will bring you out of this. And you look at verse 14. Exodus 14:14 may be your verse today. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Be still. You know, the Bible often tells us things like that. Be still and know that I'm the Lord. God wants us to be still. Listen to that small voice. It's not going to say, hey! That's Hollywood. God says, be still. Listen for me. Trust in me. Don't be afraid. I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to walk you through. Have you ever been walked through something? God's walking you through. Have you ever been walked through something and looked back and God, I made it through. This is God walking you through. Sometimes it's more important than when you get to the other side and say, we're through with this mess. And God says, don't ever forget how you felt when I was walking you through. That you could trust me, that you weren't afraid. Because there's some more coming. And you just got to trust me and I'll walk you through. I'm not walking you around the situation. I'm walking you through it to see the power of God just like this. Don't not read the Old Testament. Okay. So then the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. I read that and it's like, okay. We're going to skip on forward to verse 19. The angel of the Lord, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. Why did he do that? Then Moses, in verse 21, stretched. This is the famous movie. It's two verses. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back, and with a strong wind. Okay, this is the real version. All night long, God drove the sea back. Not in 1 second. All night long he did it. And he did it with a strong wind. And it turned into dry land. And the waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground with a wall of water on their right and their left. This is not the tides going out at night. Some people have said, oh, well, it wasn't really that. It wasn't a miracle. It was just the tides went out. Really? With this huge wind, and then the ground went dry, and not just the tide went out, it went up. It makes it very, very clear when it says that there was a wall of water on their left and their right, and they went through on dry land. God pushed through wind all night long, and finally, up it went, up it went, up it went, up it went, till it was completely dry, and it's a little terrifying looking. And God said, walk through now. The Egyptians pursued them. All those horses and chariots, y'all. And you know what God did? He looked down on the pillar of fire. He during the last watch of the night of the Lord, he looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. He jammed the wheels of their chariots so it was difficult to drive. And the Egyptians said, let's get away from these Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Israel. We were stupid to come out here is what they're thinking. Why? Because they're thinking, this God is real and he is all powerful. He is controlling nature. What were we thinking? He's even jamming the wheels on our chariots. Little details like that. Don't read over that. Think about what God did. By the way, that was after he was keeping a vigilant watch over the day and the night. And he tells you he did it through that cloud. And some people say, well, was it the Lord or was it the angel of the Lord? Yes. The angel of the Lord did what the Lord wants. And sometimes it will say the angel of the Lord. Sometimes it will say the Lord himself. That does not mean that God, the Lord. This is Lord, L-O-R-D caps. Okay? This is God. He is not an angel. But yes, he has angels that do things for him. And that's being made very clear here. Um, and then the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the sea, and the waters will flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots. Moses stretched out his hand over the sea at daybreak, and that was all at night. Do you realize they did that? Have you ever seen the ocean at night? It's quite frightening because it's so deep and powerful. Remember back in Genesis 1:1, this whole earth was that sea. That's how deep. That's how powerful. I remember in a Star Wars movie, there's a one of the planets that's nothing but water, raging water with storms all the time. I think that's what it must have looked like. So this was, and then in the morning, when you think it's going to calm down, well, it is for the Israelites, but not for the Egyptians. That's when God says, stretch out your hand, and all the sea went back into place. That's in verse 27. And the Egyptians were fleeing toward it, and the Lord swept them into the sea.